Hi, everybody. Live from PocaTV in Jamaica. This is season 2, episode 6 of PocaTV Live. My very esteemed guest today is creator of opportunities and author Daniel Hickey.
Give me this. Give me that. Give me this. Give me that. Give me that.
So, hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? Coming to you live from PocaTV in Jamaica. As I was saying, this is season 2, episode 6 of PocaTV Live, that monthly program in which I talk to my fabulous friends all across the globe and share with you the wonderful stuff that they do. I do say every month, but I skipped last month. My workload was just too huge, and I had to skip the end of June program. But never mind, we're making up for it right now. Double, I should say, because this is a Jamaican episode. Me being here in PocaTV always gives me extra pleasure to do these programs from here. So I was telling you, my guest today is Daniel Hickey. He's an author of a wonderful book. And I met him when we were in Brazil years ago. I will get into that officially later on. But he's also a creator of opportunity. He has passed through 4 fantastic phases in his life, and we will be discussing them and also what they mean to him now and in the future. As I always do, I'm sure you know by now. I mean, this is how many episodes have I made already? I start them all with a livocation, a dedication, a livocation to my youngest sister, Aisha, who left this earth 11 years ago after being ill for quite a few years. I've been telling you, she was the biggest fan of PocaTV and actually the person who, put into my head the idea of ever going live. And this was way before going live online was even a possibility. So she had this vision, and she did have that vision in all aspects of life. Even when she was very sick, she was the person consoling others because she was sick. That's the type of person she was. I think this picture of hers was taken maybe in her late 20s or early 30s. I think she looks really pretty in it. I'm sure she was going out on a night out with one of her friends, all dolled up and all cute. So, we will forever be livocating these programs to Aisha. Never forgotten. A shout out to the regular viewers. How are you all doing? Let me see in the comments section if any of you are there already. Yes, indeed, they are. DJ Conscious, my very first guest ever on this program, is there. Good morning to you, DJ. Yes, it is morning. Even on our side of the Atlantic, it's just past 11 o'clock. Hope you're doing fine. There is my eldest sister, Adrienne, saying hi to me and greetings to Daniel. Well, Daniel isn't in the show just yet. Im soon come, no worry yourself. Here is Annemieke Janssens talking about Aisha, whom she knew as well. She was every bit as special as you, and you being me. Thank you so much, Annemieke, for being here on the program. Again, you were one of my guests a couple of months ago. Wonderful stuff. So that's the people already in the comments section. Good to have you here. Please remain there and ask your questions, or even join the program. Yes, we're doing that again today. If you wish to be in the program at some point, hold up your phone horizontally. This is what I mean by horizontal. This is vertical. No, this is horizontal. Yes. So hold the phone horizontally, scan that code, and it will take you to the studio. And I will be at liberty to, yes, let you in, or no, just ignore you. It's my program. Nobody pays me for this. I get to do whatever it is I want to do. And people who are watching on their laptop might have a difficult time scanning that code. So that's the URL that will take you to the same studio. It's case sensitive, PTVL, PocaTV Live 0206. That is Series 2, Episode 6. Use that URL and it will take you to my studio. Well, that is that said for now. I think it's high time to introduce him. Like I said, I met him in Brazil in my teens. He was in his teens as well. But he hails from Little Rock, Arkansas in the United States. And he's here from there right now. And we're going to be talking about the States and Brazil. Please welcome my very, very esteemed guest, Daniel Hickey. Good morning to you, Daniel.
Good morning. Great to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you here. We last spoke a couple of months ago when you actually scanned the code that I just showed now and came into my studio when we did a tribute to a teacher that we both had. And that's, I was so chuffed with you in my studio. I asked you then and there if you wanted to be my guest. What made you say yes?
Well, before that, let me just say bom dia to all the Brazilian viewers. If they've tuned in, many wonderful people down there. So, sejam bem-vindos.
Yes, welcome to all our viewers in Brazil, because Danny did some promotion there, and I think half of Brazil is watching. Thank you for that, Danny. Yeah. So yes, what made you say yes when I asked you?
Oh, it wasn't difficult. You have a couple of minutes of thinking, well, that's quite an honor, and you think, am I in that category to be on Poca's show? And then you think, well, yes, I think I have some good things to say.
You definitely do.
Yeah. So, and then I started getting excited, and I've been excited ever since.
Well, I need to share this with the viewers. I think you were the most fun guest I've had so far, because we've been on and off WhatsApp and email for weeks now, and the enthusiasm in your mail is really heartwarming. So thank you for that. And as you'll see, this is just about you. I mean, there's no, I'm not going to trip you up, or if anything comes along and you say, no, Poca, let's not discuss that. We won't. It's easy.
Right.
Nobody's paying you. Nobody's paying me. We get to do whatever we want to do, right?
Sounds like a good deal.
It sounds like that. Yeah. So what I often do, actually always do, is share with my new guest a little clip from my last guest. And my last guest was at the end of May. I was telling you, I had to skip the end of June because of other work. And my guest at the end of May was Kathleen Ferrier, who is the Dutch chairperson of UNESCO, the Heritage Fund, the Global Heritage Fund. And we got to talking about quite a lot of things. And one of them was, Danny, she made a comment about, the shift in power in the world. Let's have a look and see what she had to say, and I'll ask you to comment on it right after that. Here she is, Kathleen Ferrier.
UNESCO is based in Paris. And when you sit there, and I talk with the diplomats from the different European countries and from the United States and Canada and Australia, and all see that they are no longer the leading countries. It is Africa. It is Africa that builds the bridges when there are problems. It is Latin America that stands up before Europe can stand up for certain violations of human rights.
Kathleen, are you saying that the Global South is doing the dirty work again?
No, this is not the dirty work. This is not the dirty work. This is taking the lead and showing to Europe, you're not the one who decides how things are done. We will tell you how we want to solve this problem, and we will make it work. Watch us.
So, Danny, strong words, I would say, from Kathleen. How would you respond?
Oh, yeah, but I wholeheartedly agree with her. I mean, we had a word we used to use even in the 80s, the two-thirds world.
The two-thirds world, yes.
Two-thirds world, yes, taken from liberation theologians, that often the lead in Christianity worldwide comes from the liberation theologians from from Brazil or from Africa and the movements that start there. I think having lived in two countries for so many years and gone back and forth, I begin to see that that is true. But inside the United States, for example, we have a 2/3 world that lives here, that speaks out. You've seen it manifesting itself over the last few months and years. So I think it is a matter of the formation of people that they decide what world they actually are faithful to. So I think she was spot on with that.
Yeah. So does this mean that what we call the rich countries, you know, the ones with the power on paper, does this mean that money and power isn't the only thing that counts these days? Because if you say 2/3, that means everybody else who doesn't fit into that 1/3, right? And I'm thinking maybe they have united, making a bigger force than they were before. Is that what's happening?
Yes. I think so many things came into play, obviously the internet and communication, but there's so many alliances that are formed under the table, not in the major news networks.
Exactly.
And it is a movement that gets generated, bubble up, you know, you see it bubble up when major events happen. And I think that there's also a movement within the powerful countries that they are joining forces now.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Okay, we got over an hour to talk about anything that comes to mind. First of all, let me welcome a couple of your friends. I'm sure here is Arnaldo Dantas Rodrigues saying bom dia, and he's saying, I will translate, it is an honor to participate in this moment with my dear friend Daniel. Arnaldo, bom-vinda, and thank you for joining this program. And I'm seeing Jim Herden as well. There you go. Your friends are really faithful and they are bigging you up, as we say in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That must make you feel special, Danny.
Yeah, no, it's great. Anatoli and Arnaldo are great friends since we started, Maria started language school with them when she
Your
first
wife,
arrived.
yes.
Yes, Maria, my wife, started language school. Maria came here with very low English. And they were just great colleagues. And I don't know if you have time for a short little story about them, but we were going to do, can I tell a short story?
On your friends or on Maria?
On my friends.
On your friends. Yes, please do.
Yeah. We had a Brazil day at their English school. And lo and behold, Anatoli and Arnaldo had to go somewhere else. So they left it all in our hands.
Wow.
Maria and myself. And we had to dance the forró for about 60 people, which is
a Brazilian dance, a very exhausting dance. Yeah.
But as some of my Brazilian friends say, sua bunda é muito gringa. Your ass is very American. So I did not keep up with the dance, and we did not make a good image of Brazil. So that was one of my most embarrassing moments. But we all had to laugh about it later with Anatoli and Arnaldo. Now they know how to dance the forró.
Because their bunda is not what did they say?
American.
It's not American.
Not gringo, right?
It's not gringo, right? Another friend of yours, I believe I know him, Carl Cobb. Was he not at our school in Brazil?
Carl was the great singer and with Robertinho do Recife.
Oh,
he still stays in touch with Robertinho do Recife. Yes.
Wow.
A great soul. He's a great soul. Yeah, I keep up with him. Since the book, I've gotten reconnected to Carl.
Oh, that's great. Welcome, Carl. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So, Danny, let's go to the very beginning. I'll take you through your life. Well, you send me pictures, and based on those pictures, we're going to try and, tell us about how your life was. And let's start with your youth pictures. Why not? That's the best place to start, isn't it? This is, let's call him a young Danny, and your parents. Tell us about this family.
Yeah. Just before that, a shout out to Jim Herden. He's a good friend from our church. He would be a great future guest for your show. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
But so you want me to start with when I arrived in Brazil?
No, I want you to look at the screen and see the pictures we got up and tell me about that young boy and his parents.
Yes. So an only child when I grew up in America. But an only child no more when I went to Brazil. was I had about 20 missionary cousins. So I was raised in a very tight-knit missionary community. And that first picture is when they threw, to help us learn Portuguese, Jim Spann and myself into Escola Americana do Recife. Jim had good Portuguese. He had been there at least a year. I had not. So I was smiling, but that was a school that was hard work until we learned to falar Português.
Right.
Escola Americana. And then, of course, my parents on the right, I think that was close. That was after they were in Brazil. That's one of those formal foreign missionary pictures, you know.
Right.
Put in a magazine.
Mm-hmm. So your dad called Glenn. I forget what your mother's name was.
Dorothy.
Dorothy, exactly. We will be talking about them later on in the program because, as I mentioned earlier, you wrote a book, and the book is about your dad's life as a missionary and how it impacted you. So we're going to get into that later. But let's move on a little bit. That's you, I presume, in Brazil.
Yes, with Jim Spann.
That is Jim Spann. Jim Spann was my wonderful guest a year ago, telling us all about his work at NASA. We're so very proud of Jim.
Absolutely.
So you and he were friends from the get-go, I suppose.
He was actually at the airport in Recife when we first arrived.
Wow, to welcome you.
Yeah, he was sitting there, imagine, reading a book, you know. He didn't really talk to me the first time he was reading his book, but we became fast friends. And that picture, I don't know if you ever did this in Brazil, but if you take the coconut leaf off right and you do a little zip, it makes a little rocket. So we were shooting coconut leaf rockets.
You must have had so much fun.
You know, it was an extraordinary gift to grow up in not only Brazil, but Recife, you know.
Exactly.
The beach life, the
Yes.
culture was powerful, as you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to show a little clip. Let me do that now. Why not?
Okay.
I was going to do it a little later, just for people to know what kind of life we had in Brazil. You know, just to make them feel, why am I stuck here in a rut? This is just a little snippet of what Recife, that city in Brazil where we both lived, what it looks like. I know. Aren't we the lucky ones to have lived that?
We say, Vixe Maria, que saudades, né? That's
yes, a lot of saudade, really.
Portuguese.
Yeah, I know you'll be dropping some Portuguese, and I'll be trying to translate everything you say. Yeah. So wonderful place to be young, because everything is outside. The weather is as perfect as it is here in Jamaica, and the vibes are abundant in Brazil. Not to forget mentioning the people themselves, who are just about the most wonderful people you could imagine. Even if you don't speak their language, would you agree?
That's an amazing difference that we often observe, that most Brazilians, and especially in Pernambuco, they're curious. If you speak English, they want to talk to you more. They want to know, they want to learn more English words, and curious about American culture. That's not true sometimes the other way around.
Yeah, Yeah. And I also remember that, when I was learning the language, nobody ever got impatient with me. They just tried
No.
75 words and asked you if you meant that word. And
Yeah.
they would reenact the word so you knew they were talking about a ball or a kangaroo or a whatever. And that's probably the easiest way to learn any language. But me coming from
Yeah.
the Netherlands,
Yeah.
it's not as
Yeah.
obvious there. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
My theory is that Brazilians and Nordestinos, we say from North Brazil, have a strong inner child. They like to
Mm,
play, they like
yeah.
to have fun, and that puts them in a position of knowing how to teach someone.
Exactly. Oh, that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. Quick look in the comment section. People are there. Here's Carl Cobb saying he's got saudades as well, but like we were saying, which means we feel homesick for Brazil. And what does Pablo say? Padrino es un
Oh,
gusto ver. Hmm.
that's my godson in Guatemala.
Oh, we'll
That's
we'll yeah, we'll be talking about your godchildren
yeah,
later on. So
Pablo
Pablo,
Daniel.
Danielle named after you.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wonderful. Hola, Pablo. Hola. Who is here? Somebody watching in Suriname. Misha. Hello, Misha. Good to see you there. I think I know you, who you are. I'm probably sure, but I'm not going to give away your identity. Let's move on with the pictures. This is you, a little older, Danny.
Yeah.
Still in Brazil, I suppose.
Yes. Yes.
And these pictures to me show, the close ties you had with your parents. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, the community was close. This was my last year in Brazil, and it's the missionaries have a big business meeting, and the missionary kids are free to have fun for a whole
Mhm.
week. It's like a free vacation. But the big night in that time was the talent show, where everybody got to be a little foolish or show off a talent.
Yeah.
And my great, brilliant idea was to do Rocky Raccoon, by the Beatles' White Album. Rocky Raccoon went back to his room,
Yeah.
only to find Gideon's Bible. So, Dad was Rocky. My mom was his girl, McGill, and I was the guy fighting over my mom. It was just a skit. And my parents got into it. When they were in ministry, they did a lot with college students.
Yes.
So they totally got into it, went full out, and we just had a blast. Except we didn't win first place because there was a family, the Schultz family. You may know Tina Schultz from another interview.
Yeah.
They sang the Sound of Music Von Trapp song.
Oh, that is so
So
unfair. You can
They
no.
stole the trophy
Yeah,
from
yeah.
us.
It's very easy to come up with the Sound of Music and win anything. That really isn't
Anything,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll consider you the winner.
Okay.
Your mom. Tell me a little bit about your mom, because I'm to be honest, I don't quite remember her.
Yeah. Dorothy, the picture to the right, what she did often was take bicycles to pick us up or to leave us somewhere. And this was probably close to the epic trip we made to Taquaritinga do Norte. And
Yes.
she went and picked up 4 or 5 very, very tired gringos who didn't know what they were doing riding so far. But
Mhm.
Mom was also always known as very direct, very honest, cut to the chase. Don't give me your, Christian bullshit, She
Mhm.
wanted to know. And she would say, speak herself. Now, sometimes she would go and apologize later. That was one quality. The other quality is she was just incredibly talented,
Yeah.
very talented musician, sing the arias from the Hallelujah,
Wow.
and would hit the high notes and blast through. Uncle Fred Spann, who you know well, Jim's dad,
Yes.
put her on television, singing that in the choir. His choirs would sing on television in Pernambuco. But yeah, and she played piano at our home church very well.
Oh, wow.
I
So
don't
she
know
was
if
one
you
of those
know,
all-around people.
yeah, because she would play the piano in such a way that you almost thought it was a samba.
Wow. Really? So
Yeah.
she had the rhythm.
She had the rhythm, and the people sang much louder when she played.
Fantastic. Is she still with us, Danny? I'm not
No,
sure.
no. She
No.
passed in 2010.
Sorry to hear that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and your dad is in the other picture, but we got a whole segment on your dad and the book and the fun you had with him. So we'll get to your dad in a while. Let's see what's next. this is where? This is Brazil, because I'm seeing Jim Span, I'm seeing
Yes.
Nancy Miller, I'm seeing Anita
Yeah.
Kolb. Is that
That's
Anita?
Anita Cobb. You're right.
Yeah.
Carl's younger sister. Yes. And that's a whole group of MK luminaries. My goodness. Yeah.
Missionary kids, MKs.
Missionary kids. Yes. One of the great things about mission meeting is that we would make choirs and we would get to sing and do little dramas. So this was choir rehearsal.
Mhm.
And as you may remember, I was the shortest person in my class. So that's what this picture shows. It was.
I was the shortest person in my class too, Danny. So we can
Oh,
shake hands on that. I was also the youngest always. So whatever. Yeah. You know.
Oh, so you know that. Yes.
I do. And I certainly know how it impacted me. It got me the big mouth I got these days. So
Well, I think it helps your communication skills, doesn't it?
it does. You
Yes,
have to
yes.
stand up for yourself, literally, when you're small. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this must have been early 70s ish, I'm thinking.
Well, this picture, yeah, it was probably about 72, 73, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Hmm. And a year later is when my family arrived in Brazil. We lived there from 73 to 76.
Okay. Sure.
And that's
Oh,
you
yeah.
that's you on the left with it's the 12th grade class. Jim told me,
Yes.
because I used the same picture.
Right.
And you guys were equitable when that word didn't even exist, with the height changes there.
Yes. It's a very fair-minded class. That's right. Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, you were the big guys, and I was just this little scrap in Mrs. Gayru's class, 6th grade,
Yeah.
elementary school. And I was this little shy girl, Danny, and a geek and gawky. But you were always so nice to me, is what I remember.
Really?
And
You remember that?
I
Wow.
do. And to be honest, I'm really ticked off at myself, because I meant to take a picture from our yearbook in which you wrote something very nice to me. And I forgot that when I traveled to Jamaica, so I don't have it. But you wrote something, you called me cutie pie. I will never forget.
Yeah, now you're a bonitona. You know, in Portuguese,
thank
a
you.
bonitona.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens to geeky girls, I suppose. But I want you to realize, because these programs are also about me finally saying stuff to people that I know.
Oh.
You being so nice to me when I was a gawky, ugly little geeky child actually helped shape my view on what a true man should be. So thank you for that. If nobody ever tells you, you were a nice guy to me when other guys didn't see me. And thank you for that, Danny.
Well, that's great to hear. Gosh, I appreciate that.
Some things just have to be said. So okay, let's move from the emotional, because I cry easily, and I'm sure you do too.
Yes.
After your senior year, after this year that you're seeing here, I think this must have been the beginning of college. Am I right?
Yes, that's the two great, I guess, memories of that time. One is, you want me to start to tell you?
Yeah,
about
go on.
Okay.
Yes.
No, on the left is kind of the gang in college, and I think that's already getting close, and that's actually a reunion, a missionary kid reunion. It's about 10 years after college, at least. So Guy Key on the far left, then myself, Bob Berry, Jim Span, and John Hatton. And then
Mm-hmm.
Bob Berry's dad, Ed Berry, who was also a missionary kid.
Wow.
So Ed Berry was the superstar at that reunion, because so many of us were MKs, but he was a missionary and an MK.
Wow.
And this is a rivalry here made in a picture, because, Guy and Bob and John were from Rio de Janeiro, right?
And the
we
rest
were
was Recife.
Pernambucanos, so they kind of looked down on, o pobrecito Pernambucano, And so we always had that. But we all played soccer together, so that was fun.
Oh, that was fun. And the picture to the right is like you say, it's that reunion.
Yeah, that's, I call my original tribe. We know deep in our beings what it's like to be from two cultures, and to always feel just a little maladjusted, a little maladjusted. When you're on the airplane going from Brazil to United States, you start getting into it,
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in the country, and then you start being American, or being Brazilian, But this group knows, and I think the great majority of us had the great fortune of having good, concerned, intelligent parents, did
Exactly.
good parenting. So
Yes.
that's a happy group. I think that was a
So,
happy group.
so what did it do to you as a person to be bicultural? Because that's exactly what you are, and I know what it does to me, but how has it impacted you? Do you think?
Oh, in different situations it does different things, but I basically I wrote a story for the Progressive Christian magazine about that was almost 10 years ago, the upside down view of things. And we always tend to be looking up, and we see, I think at first at least, a lot more than other people see, because we see cultural habits that, you know, are just so deep that people who live there don't, or they're blind. Just
They
blind.
don't realize they are
They
there.
don't realize, yes.
Mhm.
And we have to stay humble and say, well, I see that, but I have my own problems too. So you learn to be more human, and you learn to be more compassionate towards the differences. Yeah.
Yes, and I think I probably learned as well that you are not the center of the universe. I'm not talking about you, but talking about myself.
No, I know. As an only child and as your family, I see you. It's a struggle, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I had people like Jim Spann in my life to tell me you're not. You know, so there's
Right.
people that in your life too.
Exactly. You asked me to share pictures of your mentors. Hold on.
Oh,
Where's it
yeah.
going? Yeah. Here are two of them. Tell us about Ken Watkins first.
Yeah, so I did 3 years at Ouachita Baptist. It's a small Baptist provincial, but it's a school that has a unique program of accepting missionary kids. And so we played soccer. It was a great time. But then through a brother in a fraternity, I ended up as a summer missionary to international students at University of Arkansas.
Mm.
And this is 1979, and it was full of international students. I had an absolute blast that you're going to Indian New Year's parties, Chinese New Year's parties. It was like a party all the time. And my job was just to make friends with international students. But Ken Watkins, and Miss Best is the secretary, was the first minister I had met, besides my father and mother, that was just so good at putting being human along with being Christian.
Yeah.
He knew how to do that. He had a profound sense of humor and a profound way to make fun of, you know, high and lifted up spirituality. And I really mentored that. He was a mentor to me. And as I chose to be a campus minister, it was mainly due to Ken Watkins.
Wow. So when you say he knew how to be a good Christian, what is a good Christian?
He knew, maybe I didn't say right. He knew how to be a human Christian.
A human Christian,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that almost
Yeah.
presupposes that some Christians aren't exactly human.
Some Christians are more spiritual than human. We like to say Jesus was fully human, right? And fully divine.
Mm-hmm.
Ken was fully human. He told dirty jokes, you know?
Right.
So that's a part of his humanity he was expressing with people he was intimate with, you know?
Yeah.
So
and I suppose that opened doors for him in his
It
work.
did, yeah. Everyone loved it. And he had a big reunion, I think, recently in Mississippi, and he had 30, 50 people show up that were students of his. You know?
Right. Wonderful. And David Young, who is he?
Yeah, David is a really amazing person. He combines spirituality and life in the corporate world. A corporate lawyer, does a lot of contracts, is in that world, and yet incredibly mystical. He introduced me to a Catholic retreat center out of Kansas City. He helped me through a divorce. He was just an incredible mentor at a time that I needed that, but had a very simple spirit. Taught me how to go on retreats. Go on a retreat. Go be by yourself for 3 days, you know? And let nature speak to you. Let God speak to you.
That's something many people forget to do, is to just be.
Yeah.
Once in a while. And great advice. And did it help?
I think so, because it was with David that I made a decision to leave campus ministry at William Jewell and found Transformational Journeys. He helped me make that transition.
Okay, that's going to be when we get to it, because that's we're definitely going to talk about both. First, though, there was a third mentor. I mentioned him at the opening of the show, Mr. Fabisac, or
Yes,
history teacher
yes.
in Brazil.
Yes.
And he sadly passed away in January of this year. And I did a tribute on him at the end of March and asked people to join in. And you came on the show and you had this to say about Mr. Ed Fabisac. What is the one thing you would like to say about him that should always linger?
Oh,
I know it's hard.
no, I think just his courage. And I never had any moments of feeling that he was not fully himself and fully reaching for something else too. It's one thing to be yourself. We say, oh, be yourself. But it's something else to have the courage to keep reaching and reaching a little bit ahead of everybody else, you know,
to new things and not take anything as a given, but to continue on in life. Yeah.
And continue to question, you know,
Right. Yeah.
We get to a point in life sometimes that we think we have it all figured out and we think our responsibility is to teach others. But if we do that, we miss out on the wonder of always becoming.
That really stuck with me. The wonder of always becoming, Daniel. I think that sums up you as a person. You are always becoming, aren't you?
Yes, I think that was a gift really from my mentors and my father. You know, he went through different phases in life and always tried to be evolving, you know. Evolution isn't a bad word. It's a word that humans need to be about, I think, in our own journeys. But just to be willing to take risks, and they don't always work out, you know. When you take a big chance, it doesn't always work out so well.
But you still learn from it, even if it doesn't work out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are not one to be easily scared, is what I come up with when I read your bio. You just try a thing.
Yeah, I think being scared of going on a podcast is the latest thing I've been afraid of, but it seems to be okay.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Well, don't count your chickens before they hatch, Danny, because we have now reached that part of the program that all my guests simply dread. Here we go.
On the spot. 5 quick questions to...
5 quick questions to Daniel Hickey. Danny, this is the part of the program where I fire 5 quick questions at you. And you don't get to elaborate. You just have to choose one of the 2 options I give you. And then when we've done all 5, I will give you the opportunity to elaborate on 1 or 2 of them. Is this something you think you can do?
Absolutely. Let's give it a shot.
Really? All right, let's go. I start easy, right? Question 1, USA or Brazil?
I would have to say Brazil.
Question number 2, how do you identify more, as an adventurer or as an author?
Adventurer.
Question number 3, the pandemic has dehumanized humanity. Yes or no?
No.
The hardest question maybe of all. You must choose between 2 miracles: feeding the multitudes or resurrecting from the grave.
Oh. Feeding the multitudes. For sure. Yeah, that was easy.
And then the very last question, Daniel Hickey, what is the one thing that you'd never, ever, ever, ever do again?
Yeah, after transformational journeys, I wanted to get a lucrative job, and I did get a job, and it was to try to work in Brazil and make contracts for import and export of large shippings like oil, those kind of things. And the 2 people I met with to do that, figured out I knew nothing about anything, really. That I had done my homework, but to deal in that world, you have to have a certain what we call malandragem, you know?
A sharkishness, some
Yes.
shark instincts,
You-
yeah.
Yes, you have to be a shark and you have to know when to pull the trigger. And that was just not me. Never again.
So how did that end up?
Oh, I took my, they gave me a free trip to Brazil, so that was good. And when I came home, I called them and said, you know, this isn't a fit for me, sorry.
You just chucked it. All
I
right.
checked it, yeah.
Well, you're the first person who actually came up with an answer. Everybody else takes up 20 minutes saying they don't know. So thank you for being honest. Is there any other of these 5 that you would like to elaborate on? USA or Brazil, Adventurer or Author, the pandemic dehumanized humanity, or the miracles feeding the multitudes or resurrecting from the dead? One other
No, I
question?
think that's a difficult question for any missionary kid from Brazil to make you choose between the two. But I think I do when I'm in here, miss Brazil a little bit more than when I'm there and missing the United States. Aquele abraço.
The embrace that you feel in
Embrace,
Brazil.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And the o calor, the warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that.
So why then did you choose feeding the multitudes over resurrecting from the dead?
I kind of take that from the Bible that Jesus talks so little bit about resurrection. You know, he always said, the kingdom of God is now, it's with you.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me now, be with me now. And he didn't say that much about resurrection after. I think that's to be decided after we die. I want to have the kingdom of God now, and feeding people is one way to do that.
Totally got you. And this is probably one of the many things that you learned being bicultural, seeing that Brazil had, struggles on many levels, and knowing actually that people are hungry somewhere in the
Yes.
world. Yeah.
Yes, and that's, if I could just add, because I took groups to Brazil, we would go into the favelas, and the Americans would be the ones that would be transformed. The
Yeah.
visitors would be transformed by the love of the people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they know how to receive and they know how to love. They may not have a salary, but they know.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna talk about your transformational journeys. We are, because I'm seeing this is a very important part of your life. But before you did those, you were a campus minister for a while,
Yes.
a good while even.
Oh yes, that was 17 years. Yeah.
So where was this?
That's William Jewell College. That's outside of Liberty, Missouri, and it's an amazing little college. They receive all kinds of speakers on campus, atheists, and they are just very progressive Baptist college, I believe.
Well, I can tell by the signs. It's quite militant. I can't really something
Yeah.
about something.
Well, there was a
Peace.
group of professors, and I was a part of it, that we were called the Peacemakers.
Yeah.
This was Christian Focus Week, and this is when everybody, comes out to the lectures. And we put this as a protest on the quad. This was in if I'm not mistaken, about 1988, and it was attitude in the culture, popular culture, of just to be, I don't know, maybe an excess of patriotism. But to make a long story short, this was a living demonstration of a fact. It's the quote on the left side is like, for every Dwight D. Eisenhower's famous 1953 speech, for every warship that is launched, for every gun that is made, for every ballistic missile that is made, it's a theft from the poor, a theft from education, from food. And then on the other side, you see, these are to symbolize nuclear warheads. And you can't see it. There was about 300 of those, and a little piece of bread in the front.
Yes.
And that's to dramatize the fact that this was this speech in 1953, $18 billion is put into making weapons around the world every, if that was spent, it would provide enough food and water and health care for the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the government spent for a year, but the government spent that much in 2 weeks.
Yeah. This infuriates me, and it has been infuriating me for years. Why is it that we're not changing this, Danny? What's wrong with humanity? Why are we making these choices?
Yeah, I think we just have this essential tribal nature, that we want to make things right. And without a good training in peacekeeping and love and justice from early on, we revert to the cultural paradigms. The cultural paradigms teach us, well, defend your country, defend Ukraine, which has its good reasons. But as far as the priorities of where we put our money, where the government puts its money, it gets bifurcated. It gets lost. Why?
Because of greed?
Oh my goodness, that's a question for someone who has been into the study of politics and global development, right?
Yeah, but I'm asking a civilian, because civilians have rights too.
No, I see it that the world has gotten incredibly complex. It astonishes me that with so much more communication in the internet, that the ideas that seem to still prevail are from the old school. Defend your country, make sure that your interests are protected, and these other interests, I think, would just take an incredible leap of will by governments and institutions to change that.
But they don't want to change that. They like it just exactly the way it is.
Exactly. I think they live in a self-perpetuating paradigm of, we need to think first about our people, our country, and our ideology.
Our pockets.
Yes.
And our bank account.
Yes. And religion obviously plays into that, Religion plays into that.
Religion has been a vehicle of spreading this around the world, hasn't it?
Yeah. We have, I might get myself in trouble here with some friends, but I don't care. We have a movement in this country that's called Christian nationalism, that puts the gospel of the cross of Jesus, humility, together with patriotism, And a really strange, bizarre thing. You saw it manifested at the Capitol Day on January 6th. Yeah, you saw it manifested in full, for all the colors were there.
Yeah.
But that's alive and well here.
So you must, in these days, everybody knows about January the 6th last year. Do you get flack from people about that, saying, look here, you identify as a Christian, you show your Christian face to the world, yet so do those people. Explain yourself, Mr. Hickey. Does that happen?
Because I'm on a podcast talking to you, a friend. I have to have a different strategy when I'm out there. I've discovered, even learned in the church we're frequenting now, to go together. It doesn't work to be alone. When you feel something that's countercultural, it doesn't work to be alone. And you have to be with people that feel the passion that you feel. The best for me are other Christians that feel that way. Protest, speak, and write, but do it with as a group.
Yeah. Do you constantly feel the need to distance yourself from the radical part of Christianity? Or do you think, let them be, let me do my thing?
I think I have quite a mix of that. And I noticed my change that I've been in the United States for a period of time. I'm adopting the culture of my new church. And that culture happens to suit me very well. It's a group of countercultural people who think they try to put the Christ way first. And what does that mean in 2022 in the United States? And these are many patriotic Americans. They were very excited when Maria became an American citizen. But I go in and out of that. I can't stay in that more than, maybe a day a week, I have to come back into normal life and breathe.
I so totally understand that.
Yeah.
A little comment from Carl. Carl, thank you for this great discussion on religion and politics. Thank you, Carl. If there's anything you would like to add to it, you're very welcome in the studio. Which reminds me, let me quickly do that.
Yeah.
Pull up that whatchamacallit again, the QR code for people who might be interested in joining my talk with Danny, and people on the laptops put in this URL and follow all the prompts that you find on the page. Use Chrome, please. If you're on a laptop, please use Chrome. Otherwise, things go really bad. Hoping to welcome some of you in the program in a little while. So yeah, that's how to get to the studio. Back to Danny now. Where is Danny? Danny is right there. Yes. So that was you doing that ministry work at the university, and that's when the adventurer in you kind of popped out, and you came up with your transformational tours. Danny, this is an important part of your life, so take us through it.
Yeah, Transformational Journeys was born out of taking students from William Joe College, and the idea was really generated on a trip to Haiti. We took
Haiti.
a group,
Haiti,
yes, 1987, I think we took a group of close to 30 students. I mean, these were students in all majors of the William Joe College. And we were there with the poorest of the poor and in a little worship service, and they were singing their hearts out, They were genuinely joyful. And I can't think of many of those students who didn't come back changed. Right?
Yeah. Sorry to be such a crybaby, but no.
So that generated Transformational Journeys. That trip basically to Haiti.
So tell us, what was the idea behind these transformational journeys? Because I'm seeing the flyer, vacations that make a difference. So it's people in their free time going to a place like Haiti. What for?
Yeah, I wanted to make an organization that anyone could go. You didn't have to be a Christian. You can be a Buddhist, whatever, be an atheist, but come and help people with us. And so, and that worked out. Vacation to Make a Difference was a pretty popular movement at the time. And I think it's going to start again after the pandemic is really over, but make a difference on your vacation. It's like the gap year before college students go. Serve somebody, serve somebody and mix your leisure.
See what life can be like outside your own little space. Yeah.
But my dream was to take anybody on a trip somewhere and make a difference, even a small difference in the life of someone. But the secret was reverse mission. I knew if I got them there in front of people, they're the ones that would be changed.
Right. Yeah. I'm seeing a bottom left. I'm seeing your dad again. You told me this was during the launch of Transformational Journeys.
Yeah.
Well, how did your dad look upon this endeavor of yours?
Yeah, well, he funded the first year of it. So he and Mom, but he was very enthusiastic because it retained the missionary self, the taking a chance and going to another country to make a difference. Yeah. And yet it was reaching out to other communities, to the corporate community. We took corporate trips too.
You did?
Out, yes. Yeah. And,
well, it made some waves. You made the newspapers. That's you on the right. This story, I read it. It's about what you were saying earlier. You take those people on a trip like that, and you let them, help out in a community, and they are the ones that are actually transformed, and more even than the people you set out to help. That's a wonderful thing, Danny.
It was just a blast. It was a blast because these people would be so passionate. They wanted to go back to Brazil the next year. And be with those people again, because those people gave them such life, Or back to Dominican Republic, or we took a trip to Kenya, but they wanted to go back and see their new friends and receive more of that unexpected joy from people they did not expect to receive.
Super. Kenya must have been specifically nice.
Oh my goodness.
I've never been. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a gift. That was our gift trip. We went out to the Masai Mara. We got to see, the big five,
Yes. Yeah. And this one, I think, is Dominican Republic.
No, that's
No?
Guatemala.
Oh, that's
Guatemala,
Guatemala.
and that's an important picture because of who funded at least about 9 transformational journeys trips. Roger Strickland in Kansas City, Strickland Construction in Kansas City, would donate a building, and Father Greg, who you've seen, would receive the building and get it to a village. If you go to San Lucas Toliman in Guatemala, you will see close to 50 buildings like this around that Roger has donated.
That is fantastic.
And he's in the middle of the picture. You may not, and his wife Peggy, you may not can see them, but then he would take his employees, he would take his friends, and we were just like, the third party that organized it. We did all our transformational journeys stuff with him, but he was the primary funder of those trips. And yeah, that's close to Guatemala, where it's another passion of mine. We go back to see our godchildren at least every 3 years.
Yeah, because you got a couple there. We'll get to them in a while. How long did you spend in Guatemala?
Well, I spent, if you put all the trips together, maybe 2.5 months. We would go for 10 days, And I had recruited people to take these trips. So I got to a point where I couldn't do the trips myself. Right. I had trip leaders, but I went to Guatemala, my goodness, 10 times. And then of course I've been back since then, many, many times to,
yeah. So you got one foot there as well. You got a foot in the States, in Brazil, in Guatemala. My goodness, how many feet do you have?
Yeah, I should say Candace Castor, who took over Transformation Journeys from me, she's the one that's now half Guatemalan at least. She goes, and they're thinking about starting up next year, Transformational Journeys. Yeah. They took a break from the pandemic.
Because you don't do it anymore. You're no longer involved at all?
Oh, we did a trip for Maria and myself. Candace planned it for us. And I would like to perhaps take a group to Brazil. We do take a group for Transformational Journeys.
Yeah.
That we'll just have to play it by ear because, Candace and I know the travel industry is kind of capricious. So we have to wait and see if it really comes back.
Yeah. And it's all very, like you say, capricious is a real good word. I have no idea if my plane will take me back home in 2 weeks' time.
Oh,
for example.
I heard about that. Yes.
It's a mess. It's a total mess.
Yeah.
I wonder, is this picture also part of the transformational journeys?
Well, that was my goodbye from the Brazilian community. It's called out in Forte, in the bairro out in north of the city, and it's a Comunidade de Amigos para Sempre, or it's a Comunidade Evangélica de Pau Amarelo. And Ana and Chico and Renato were people that I work with, and I took at least 3 groups there. And I got another big donor, Paul Shoemaker, founder of Garmin, donated their building. So they benefited a great deal. And this was my goodbye. They all got together and said, "Nós amamos você, Daniel." That was
we love you, Daniel, is what it says. Yeah. Well, don't we all? I wonder how did those journeys transform you? What did you take away from them?
Well, I think the human aspect of it was just I can't describe it. It was a treasure, just a treasure. And it still brings richness to my life. The friends I made, both in Guatemala, Brazil, and Dominican Republic, it was a treasure. Yeah. On the other side, at the end of it, it was just time for me to move on because I'm a type person, the dream had been accomplished and I was ready to try something else. And Candace Castor, we hired her to take over. So
yeah. You're one of those people, much like myself. You like to start a new thing, see it thrive, and then when everything, turns out to be almost routine, that's when you bow out.
100% correct. Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
That's
we have a founder syndrome, right? We like to found something new and move on to something else.
And move on to and leave it for others to to play with while we do new stuff. Yeah. A little bit about your private life. Let's see where we got the picture of your. No, we're not there yet. Sorry. There's another endeavor of yours in which, what do you call it? You called it Brasil Cultura. What is that?
Oh, that was a blast. That was my next little project after Transformational Journeys. I should say, and I can introduce everybody, but principally in the far the right, in the very middle is Ninja or Felipe Pinto and his brother Hickey holding the knives. Along with them, we founded this group to do cultural literacy training. It was just an excuse to do Brazilian dancing in schools in Kansas City, you know?
In Kansas City, of all places.
Yeah, there were some really fun stories. But just to introduce, let's see, there's, I introduced over here, yeah, Franja is the one in the white. Janaína Formiga is next to Felipe. And then there's Cauete, Renata, also known as Morena, and the red shirt next to him, Rafael, Lua, and Feiticeira. I had to introduce them because I spent some great time.
Of course you did. But take me through this. So you're in Kansas City, or just or the state of Kansas?
No, Kansas City, yeah.
So I like many people, when I think of Kansas, I think of the Wizard of Oz. That has nothing to do with this. But I do wonder how people reacted to capoeira, to that Brazilian culture that you were sharing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one short story. This was a school in Overland Park. These are wealthy, affluent schools. And we always send pictures and try to prepare people for what we do. And when they do the samba dancing, the women in the group wear samba costumes.
Of course they do, yeah.
Yes. And they usually start and they try to make it like a samba de Carnaval do Rio de Janeiro, you know, the big samba dances. Well, the principal had not done her homework and these women came out, you know, in samba attire.
Well, in very, very little attire, so to speak.
Exactly. So she goes, hold up. And I'm thinking, oh, darn, they're going to cancel us. But she turned around and said, hey, everybody. And there were parents there, you know. Pretend you're in Brazil, okay? Now sit down and enjoy yourselves. And so that was a great show.
Did they enjoy it? I mean,
they loved it. Yeah, well, of course, at the end of the show, Felipe and Hickey, they get everybody up on stage to dance the samba.
Right.
The audience has no choice. They have to try to learn how to dance the samba. So that always ends it well.
But they too have a bunda gringa. the white ass, like you were saying earlier.
Yes, but you know, there's usually always someone who picks it up pretty fast. You know,
right.
I need to say this is capoeira on the left.
On the left, yeah.
That's,
go ahead. We'll be showing a capoeira clip later on.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the clock. We need to make a little more tempo.
Okay.
Taking you to your very gifted and beautiful and gorgeous wife, Maria Souza, whom you married when?
Well, we met in 2010, married 2011. So we've made it, you know, past the 10-year mark. And still doing great.
So where did you meet?
Oh, well.
She's Brazilian for...
100% brasileira, sim.
Yeah.
100% Brazilian. Yeah, we met online. But the good news is we were living in the same city at the time.
Wow.
So, and I had to wait, of course, you know, she made me wait 2 months before I was able to actually meet her.
Of course
and
she did.
then, yes. So, and it just, it worked out. I mean, it was a gift. It was just a gift from God on both ways. So.
Yeah, like I said, you two are the most adorable couple. Look at these. I know you didn't expect those two pictures, not the one on the right, but I stole it from your Facebook. I think it says it all.
Yeah.
And I used it because you wrote on your Facebook that you weren't so sure whether or not to put it up, but then you just wanted to share the love, which is what we're doing now. What is it Maria brings to your life, Danny?
You know, obviously joy. I think she has an amazing intelligence. She was a Buddhist Catholic.
Catholic.
Practiced Buddhism and very Catholic. Her family's very Catholic and just a deeply spiritual person. And so she brought a lot to my life. And, you know, I didn't know too much about Buddhism, you know, I didn't know. And so it was just a spiritual connection. And at the same time, I think I brought her the evangelical connection, the church connection, high church. We're Episcopalians now. So I think that worked out. But it's just, I think love at the essence is two children playing together. That's what it is.
It is. It is, which is exactly what you're doing in this picture, is playing together. I was wondering, in Dutch we have a saying, and probably in other languages as well, when you mix religions, that's asking for trouble. I'm paraphrasing here. Did that in any way manifest itself in your lives?
Well, the secret is that Maria had snuck off from the Catholic Church to go to evangelical worship. Quite a bit in Brazil, because evangelicals had the best music at the time.
Yeah.
So she was not so Catholic in that sense. She loved the songs, and she's just a very what you would say on a pilgrimage. Well, if this is what is next, then let's embrace it. Let's embrace it. So
yeah.
And on my side, I had to adjust to a very large family. I'm an only child, so that was a very sometimes hilarious.
I'll put up the picture again. That's the family.
That's the family. Plus Nathan and Monica. Nathan and Monica came down and visited, and it just happened we had a family reunion at the same time. So it was a gift.
Wonderful. And here's Jim Herden commenting on Maria, saying she brings joy to all with whom she interacts. So Maria, I know you're watching. This is what people think of you. So keep it going, my girl. You're bringing joy to people's lives, which is a great thing, really. Yeah, and you've mentioned a couple of times the godchildren that you have. Let's talk about them for a bit here, because this is something you very much do together with Maria. I'm telling from the pictures.
Yes, that was our last time in Guatemala. Actually, it's been too long, over 3 years, but yeah, that went back from way when I took transformational groups and I hiked the volcano with Carlos Alinan. And Carlos might be watching. He and Orquídea, they already had 3 and were having more children, and actually, it's a funny story. The Catholic priest told me I should talk to Carlos and counsel him to not have any more children because, he's had enough. And I did do that. But then I got next time I went to Guatemala, or next time Carlos talked to me on the phone, he said, Daniel, tu vai ser un padrino otra vez.
So, another child on its way.
I already had Ixchel, and then it was Pablo Daniel and Carla Daniela. So it's been joy. That picture was a great time. They all made a great effort when we came, and we did a boat, a little excursion with them.
But what an honor to have children in Guatemala named after you. That must make you feel very special.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I just talked to Ixchel this morning, and Pablo Daniel called to say good luck. Vaya padrino,
Yeah, now he's saying good memories. Yes, Pablo, yes. Does it bring sometimes I struggle with words. What's the word I'm trying to come up with? Does it bring with it any stress or any, I'm not coming up with the word, responsibility? There you go. Does it bring with it responsibility to be godfather of these people?
Well, I should include Isabel Kuhl as my other godchild. She's excelling in sports journalism at MU. And we got to spend some time with her at Maria's graduation party. Oh, it was a gift. She's a trip. She's amazing. But considering all of them together, I think I've just kind of learned how to do it. It's just improvising and figuring out. The main thing they need is just presence,
Yeah. Do they come to you for advice or, something going on with their parents? They can't talk to you. Does it work that way?
That finally worked this morning. Yeah. She was wanting some advice. I can't disclose it, but one of my godchildren was really wanting some serious advice about a life issue that's very difficult. So I had to recall my Spanish, and say, give the best advice I had. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. And you always tell them, I suppose, not anything you say is the truth, but it's just one truth. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I do with my borrowed children. I have none, as you might know,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
got borrowed children all over.
So you're a titia.
I'm a titia, yes. I'm an auntie,
Mhm.
yes. Time to talk about your book,
Okay.
Danny, The Renaissance Missionary, Un Missionario Inusitado. You wrote it in English first, the translation came later. This is an homage, is what I would call it, to your dad.
Mhm.
Why did you become an author, and how did it go?
What a question. Yeah, I became an author shortly after my dad passed away in 2013 because I thought, gosh, he's got a story that people don't know. Obviously, my mom is a huge part of that. They were in Brazil at such an amazing time. It was ditadura, to get to Brazil. Ditadura, the dictatorship started in 64, and they arrived in 64.
Right.
And so, but we growing up there saw very little effect or evidence of that. So here was these Americans in this thriving community and building this amazing group of churches, Baptist churches. And they were so well received. And most of them had all their talents and gifts and ministries come to the fore. And it was just an incredible group of missionaries. So it's a story about my parents, but I think I also wanted to present the story of our community.
Yeah. Well, tell me in a nutshell, because you've called it your home, you've called it your family already, that community. Tell me in a nutshell what the essence is of what your group of missionaries were about in a country like Brazil. What is it that you wanted to share there?
Well, I think the gospel of personal relationship with Jesus Christ, friendship with Jesus Christ, a relationship that's not just to get saved. It's a relationship that you come into and you grow in the spiritual life, and you need nurture. And over the years, you begin to share that with others. So I think these missionaries had a gift of being in solidarity with the Brazilian people, the Christians, without imposing American culture on them.
Now that's such a valid point there, because that's how I remember it. I mean, I was a very young girl at the time, but thinking back, yes, missionaries, but not too evangelizing, not like you said, not imposing culture.
Right.
So where did they come up with that knowledge? Because these were people, from Arkansas, from Kansas, from people.
Yeah, you've got me. I mean, that's a hard question to answer. I think they were very mature Christians as part of it, and they all understood that relationships are the key. Building relationships are the key. And then you earn the right to talk about Jesus Christ, to talk about deeper spiritual matters, to talk about church, the importance of being part of a Christian community and all that. But I saw them all, in my limited view of things, they all had very close friendships with Brazilians. And I've seen missionaries get emotional when they talk about, talk about their Brazilian friends. I just, Marcia Martin, a good friend of ours from Rio, and her mom just had a birthday. And on her Facebook, it was amazing how many Brazilians wrote very intimate affirmations for her.
Wow. Yeah. I'm in Jamaica right now, and there's a lot of missionary work going on here as well. But for some reason, I experience that differently. This is more what happens here is more the imposing of ideas, and the word, not the practice. I believe that's what made your lot so very special. It was about practical stuff as well. It wasn't just about come to church and be good on Sunday. It was about what can I do to contribute to your life.
It was it was a good training. I think the Farm Mission Board at that time in Richmond, Virginia had good training, and missionaries were asked and required to use their professions. Aunt Glenda Miller, she was also a nurse with the poorest of the poor. Casa da Amizade served the poorest of the poor in Recife.
Yeah.
And she used her gift in that. My dad used ham radio,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Partners
Yeah.
of the Americas, making connections with the upper class, the affluent, the elite. We say in Brazil, o elite.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they were very unusual missionaries. Uncle Fred's band, he made big steps in the music world. He had a conversation with Gonzagão, Luis Gonzaga, Rei do Baião.
Fantastic musician, yeah. Mm. So yes, Danny, years to remember. I'm sure. The book that you wrote, you translated it. You translated it into Portuguese, and there was a launch of that book in the church co-founded by your father. What's the church? Igreja Batista de what?
Ibura.
Yes, the Baptist church.
Yeah.
And I stayed up all night to watch the live stream. Yes, I did. I thought, let me support this man. And I took a little clip from what happened there. And I think this sums you up completely. Let's have a look together.
Minha pátria para Cristo, eis a minha petição. Conhece? Canta comigo. Minha tão querida, você dei meu coração. Salve Deus. Esta terra do Brasil. Eita, agora eu vou chorar. Não pode cantar mais.
Yeah, Danny, that's you singing. You told me you might just start singing at some point. Well, there you were singing and crying, which we're seeing you do as well. Those two go together, right? Music and tears, emotions. Mm.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I was watching. I don't know if I'll sing all this, but can I sing what I told you I might sing?
Yeah, sing. Go ahead, sing.
I'll let them guess who this is,
All right.
I've looked at life from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love illusions I recall. I really don't know how to love it all. So there's a trivia question for you. Do you know it? Do you know who sang that?
I think that's Joni Mitchell.
You know.
Yeah.
So
she's been in the news lately, but I keep forgetting what about. What's going on?
Sang that after 60 years at the Newport Jazz Festival. She sang it, and she hadn't really missed a beat. She did well.
Oh, good girl. Yeah. So why do you want to sing Joni Mitchell to us?
No, it's just what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Looking at things differently as you go through life. Things I saw away in Recife. There's some things are the same, but some things I see with so much more tolerance and joy.
And love, maybe
And
even.
love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this wonderful book of yours, it lives right here in my library here. Yeah, because I get English speaking people to come visit me, and then they can read it as well. My mom read it and she loved it. She even remembers really big parts of it. But it's about, let me summarize. It's like you said, it's about your dad, his work, your life with your dad. And I get from the whole thing that your dad had a very special role in your life. Do you care and dare to elaborate on that?
No, I'm happy to do that. I mean, he's mom too. Mom had her very powerful place in my life, but Dad was very human. He didn't mind crying. He was a crybaby as well. Mm-hmm. But he became addicted to cycling, and took me on a tour of Ireland. Took me on a tour of Europe.
Yeah, because he got Irish blood, I presume.
Yes, the Hickeys. You see the bar there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I told some people that's our bar, but I was just joking. It's just
it's your cousin. It's your cousin's
bar.
It's
our cousin. Yeah, it's a common name.
Yeah.
But back to Dad. I think for me it changed because missionaries go off and do their good work, and sometimes they forget about their children. Mom was always there, but Dad did a little bit too much missionary work, and I didn't get the time with him I wanted. So I had some unresolved issues, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I got a therapist, and we sat down together, and I told him what I felt. You were off being a saint.
Your dad and you went to this therapist together?
Yes, that's a passage in the book. It's in the book. But so I did that, and he just started weeping, and he said, "What can I do? I know you're saying is true." And so he put his hands over my head and prayed for me. So that was one of these moments that changes your life.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he's had that just healed our relationship. I recommend, especially in the world of men, I recommend boys do that with their fathers if they need to.
Get straight with dad at some point.
Get a good therapist and do that. Yeah.
Yeah. This trip to Ireland, or was it a one-time thing, or did you go more often?
No, it was the only time. That was.
It must have been really special.
Yes, it was special and comical.
Yeah.
We thought the Hickeys. Dad had researched a lot. The Hickeys were in County Clare. Well, we didn't find any Hickeys in County Clare, and when we did find Hickeys, it was over in County Mayo. But it was a soccer game, and soccer. We didn't find too many that were sober enough to tell us this family story. So we had a great time with the Hickeys, but we didn't learn too much about them.
No, but what were your conversations with your dad like at that point? Because you'd been through the therapy already. So
yeah. They were always good. We loved to talk about, we stayed with families. We stayed with Irish families. So we were trying to work on our Irish, It's a different dialect. And there was an incredible amount of spirituality in Ireland,
Yeah.
A lot of Catholicism. And we enjoyed that very much, talking about it. I think it was just probably having a great time together without any baggage, emotional baggage. It was just great.
Yeah. What do you think your dad would have thought of the book you wrote about? Well, the two of you.
I think he might have been a little embarrassed by the exposure of the book, because I did talk a lot about him, but I think he would be happy. I think he would feel a sense of, you call me Danny. Danny understood me. He got what I was about.
Yeah. That's special because, like you said, especially men, young boys and their fathers, that can, there can be friction because it's about emotions. It's about what do I feel? What do you think? Not particularly the largest gift of many men. So, like you say, having healed with your dad, what would you say to? Well, you just said it, but can you stress the importance of doing it to young men watching now?
Yeah, no, I was a part of the men's movement here and went to several retreats. There's a great leader called Richard Rohr, and learned about fathers, talked about our fathers. And I think it's just emotional honesty, but that has to come from the father and the son. So that's the part that's the tricky part, You have to have a father that if you're dead emotionally honest with him, like I was with my dad, that he will respond. Yeah. That's why it's good to have a safety net theory, someone there that can help you. And he has to be willing to play full out with you. He has to be willing to go with you in that.
And so that means he and you must be willing to let those emotions in, which is something that young boys are taught not to do. Don't cry. Don't be a crybaby. Don't do whatever.
Yeah.
Be a man.
Achievement is valued, but emotion and tender emotion is not so valued. I think maybe it's more valued in Brazil than here.
Yeah. How can we bring that back to the world? Because I believe it would be key change in this world we live in now, which I don't particularly like. I don't know what you think of it. I mean, there's so much strife going on, and people, this party says this and the other says that, and let's kill each other over it. It's like dialogue is disappearing, and to get it back, what we need is to let emotions flow. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think we need groups. we need groups. I'm forgetting the name of it, but my friend Glenn, my neighbor, is in our church. He does a group that brings together people that may be more tending Republican and maybe tending Democrat, and he gives them a space to honestly say how they feel about the other side. Now, this isn't male to male. This isn't masculine. This is just politics. But we need more groups like that encourage that, and more leadership. We just need more leadership leaders that don't mind crying, leaders that don't mind being human.
You mean women?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I omitted that. My mom would let me know.
She would, and in her absence, I'm letting you know now. I do think it's time. There's a bit, like a couple of decades of women's leadership.
Yeah.
And I mean feminine. I don't mean, it doesn't have to be women, but it needs to be people in touch with their feminine side.
No, I've often thought this. We need a female president in the United States. I think some things would change unconsciously.
Yes, but it needs to be a female who lets her femininity come through, and not a female trying to be one of the guys in politics. Right?
No macho.
No macho. No.
Yeah.
Somebody like the New Zealand Prime Minister.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes.
And the Estonian Prime Minister too.
Yeah. And don't knock the Barbadian Prime Minister either.
Yeah.
Now she's a character. Yeah. Danny, looking at the time, we're almost going to round up. This is the moment in the program where I tell my people, my lovely viewers, that the next episode is going to be on August the 26th at 6 o'clock Central European Time. And my guest then, I'm always excited about my guests, and I'm definitely excited about having him on. He's a Dutch anthropologist. He's a writer. He's a journalist like myself, Joris Luijendijk, a man born into total privilege who quite recently understood the workings of the privilege that he is privy to. And not only did he understand, but he wrote a book about it, which made really large waves in the Netherlands on both sides of the conversation. So Joris will be joining me next month, and I can hardly wait to talk to him about the book that he wrote and the implications of what he wrote, and how his way of thinking, his way of understanding now can help this tormented world that we live in. Would you be interested in watching that, Danny?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you understand what Joris says about privilege? Do you know about your privilege?
Yeah, I took some classes at University of Little Rock, Arkansas, and took a sociology class, and that's one of the first exercises they do. We're gonna separate you by privilege, and I was the most privileged guy in the room. I was so embarrassed, but it wakes you up, It wakes you up.
I always say, don't be embarrassed. Just know that you have it.
Yeah.
Well,
that feeling came later. Yeah, that feeling came later. But
do you then use your privilege to kind of sprinkle it around to make other people's lives easier as well?
I think that's what gives me the most joy these days. My goodness, yeah.
So that makes you an okay privileged guy. It's okay to have your privilege. We don't want to take it away from you. We just want you to know you got it.
We need to have another program and talk about Christian feminism, or just plain feminism. Yeah.
Oh, we can. I can talk days and days and days on that topic. So we might well do that. But unfortunately, it will not be today. This is the point I ask you. Anything I didn't ask you that you still want to tell us or share with us, Danny?
Oh, I just want to give a shout out to the English professors at Ibuda School. They were going to be listening. Rafael, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but Marie and I taught in that school when we were on launching the book, and they're doing great work. So shout out, bravo seis.
Shout out from me as well.
I can't think of anything else. I'm happy.
No. Now you're going to make me tell you that you asked me to do a thing, and now you're forgetting. It's to the left of you.
Oh, right. Thank you. I can see you did your homework. Good.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a poem you wrote. It's a poem you wrote.
I wrote a poem for this occasion, But this is a poem that was inspired by Cordel. Cordel and his Sifi are little poems that they still sell on the streets. It's on a little cord and a piece of paper. People buy them, take them home, get inspired. Cordel. It's a Brazilian poem from Northeast Brazil. And this is a Cordel by Braulio Bessa, and he inspired this poem for me to write. Dreaming enough to throw down the bridge to my heart's desiring cross to sweat, and live inconvenient moments in unknown places that stare at my frail offerings. Open your hands to receive some fresh mint hope from a stranger, some evaporated bliss as a leftover prize. Half there, like the one piece of pie, leaves feelings of grief that the whole pie will be gone soon. Play full out for it, or settle for a happy ending early. Nay, say the heart of it, or go for the full story. Yes to yes to yes to all of it. Be a fool and live into dubious ending story. Be crazy and this your glorious life.
How wonderful. How beautiful. Thank you for that, Danny. And thank you for being my very charming and interesting guest. You got so many stories to share. And we definitely must do a second run at some point.
Yes.
And,
Maria and I, we want to go to Europe, but it may be a while. When we go, we want to see you.
Please, you cannot go to Europe and not make me know way in advance, because I'm a busy woman. So we must plan to see each other. It was wonderful. What will you be doing the rest of this day? Because at your end, it's also, 12:30 in the afternoon. What will you be doing the rest of today?
We're going for a long walk. We have a great hiking trail close by. And just unwind with Maria. And I have to plan an English lesson later because I teach Afghani family English tomorrow.
Well,
yeah.
that's for later. Just go have a rest. Thank you. It was real fun talking to you.
Yeah.
And remain in the orange room while I round up, Danny, and have a lovely day the rest of the day. Thank you so very much. Let me see, how do I get you out? Yes, bye Danny. Yeah. So that was Danny, and one of the things that he was telling us about was how he shared Brazilian culture in Kansas, of all places. And one of those main ingredients, of course, is the capoeira, which stems from Africa. It's an African Brazilian martial arts dance. And for those of you who don't know what it looks like, that's how I'm going to play out. Remember that I'll be back in August, at the end of August, on the 26th with Joris Luijendijk. Until such time, be good, be kind, and stay safe. Bye-bye.